watching little kids' ass cheeks just clap. It's just beautiful. Oh, yeah.
I want it that way. He tied a candy bar to the end of his line. He's trying to catch a kid.
My favorite part about having sex with 28-year-olds is she's like, what? I'm like, there's 20 of them. And then I explain it to her. See, there's 20 and then they're 8. It's a pedophile joke because people call me a pedophile. Get it?
A dad goes up to his son and says, hey, guess what your brother said when he lost his virginity? And his son goes, ew, Dad, no, stop. Dad goes, exactly. Yeah, fuck him.
Alright, what's going on, guys? Hope you guys are settled in and ready for this one. If you haven't watched my last video on the comedian Poe, also known as Ryan Michael Poe, you should check it out either before or after this one, not just for context's sake, but for entertainment value as well. Anyways, let's get into this, man.
Help me figure out when it's so wrong. Hold my hand, just give me something.
If you watched the last video already, you'll probably know I'm in a private group on Facebook. I won't say much about it because, as I said, it's private, but in essence it's how I found out about Poe, his TikTok account, and all the other stuff that we're gonna talk about today. Back then, however, I was tackling the subject from the standpoint of satire. Now that I've taken the time to look deeply into all the evidence, which I'll be showing today because I'll be looking into it more inductively. Poe is a control freak. He wants to shape his life on social media, most notably TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. Having control over a fan base is one thing, having a control over a partner is another. This can be backed up by several screenshots and messages of people coming out about how they were manipulated or taken advantage of by Poe, most notably a TikToker who was in Poe's poly relationship and I briefly spoke about in the last video that goes by law. From what has been made public about what went on in this relationship, it can be seen that a lot of borderline sexual abuse went on. Now, in terms of that scenario, I'm using it rather loosely, but I do consider it to be sexual assault when you're pressuring someone to have sex with you over and over. Poe also has his kinks and preferences, mostly on the younger side. I'm not sure if Poe's choice to enter relationships with younger individuals is a kink thing or a control thing. In fact, it possibly might be both, especially when looking through his Reddit history. Going after people who are lacking direction and open to receiving support from someone often led Poe to relationships with individuals between the ages of 17 to 20. I will admit there has been a few individuals who brought some attention to Poe. There's Just Baggins, Turd Nugget 666, a whole other fucking lot of people. But one man who has done a lot recently goes by one guy's opinion. He mostly does expose style TikToks and even had a short series on Poe. The one that stood out the most to people though was his past Reddit history, which was overall just brushed off as a fake account by Poe and his response to one guy's opinion.
I've never had a Reddit. I've gone onto the website, but I've never actually made an account. I have no idea how it even works. In 2018, I was writing a development for a new show with my friends. I had 2 friends. One of them lived local, one of them was about an hour away. We both had a really bad falling out. And yes, they had access to the docs and my email. I'm not saying that it was them who did this, but I'm saying the truth. I don't have a fucking Reddit. That Reddit is not mine.
He actually responded a few times to getting his Reddit exposed, actually. In every response, there has been some inconsistencies. He either claims to have never used it or states he used it 3 or 4 times in the past. Since I played you that one before, might as well play the most recent denial of owning the Reddit account.
So to let you guys know, I never have, and never will, have had a Reddit. I don't like Reddit. I've used it like 3 or 4 times. I've never had an account or anything like that. So, yeah. But apparently, somebody made a Reddit account with my username, my picture, and looked up some really fucked up shit and commented some really fucked up shit on some fucked up shit.
Now, before I actually take a deep dive into his Reddit history, just putting a trigger warning, the stuff I'm about to mention, it includes rape and things of a sexual nature. Someone in the prior mentioned Facebook group discovered a Reddit account called TheComedianPoe. This is the username Poe uses for his main TikTok. The account was created just over a year ago and had posted like random comments throughout, as well as a couple posts of which only 2 remain. One post which shows overwhelming evidence that the account is in fact his is a casting call for a YouTube series with a contact link to the email address Poe uses for his YouTube channel, which is called Psychojack Films, that he still posts on to this day. The YouTube casting call seems entirely typical of a character Poe might write. Additionally, the ad asks for applicants to email the account, which is associated, like I just said, with the YouTube account that he still posts on regularly. The second post is a link to a friend's TikTok, but unfortunately the link is no longer available, no longer works. I haven't tried Wayback Machine, but it seems like it doesn't archive TikTok pages. Finally, we reach the comments. There are a couple random ones, like a passing remark on a WrestleMania sub, which he's actually a fan of. He has a wrestling cover photo on Facebook and mentions it in his bio. The lone comment about WrestleMania is very specific. It's a very specific interest, one that only Poe is known to have. Apart from this, the majority of comments left via this account include describing rape fantasy scenarios, at some points in graphic detail, and at other times offering to meet up to act them out. In these comments, locations are given with the goal of meeting up with people for sex, sharing partners, rape fantasy, etc. In fact, if you type his username into Reddit Metis, you can see his most wholesome and least wholesome comments. Both aren't, but anyways. You can also see activity patterns and his most frequently used words. God damn. The most repulsive comment is a reply to a poster explaining that they were raped by a Tinder match. Poe's reply is, need someone to hurt/humiliate you in Michigan, Rochester Hills, Clarkson area. I was actually looking for the comment on his Reddit while getting all the info needed for this video, but looks like it's been deleted, so at least we know that the account is active. So here's an older screenshot that was taken a while back. Now that I've went through the account, it's time for me to explain a few things before I move on. The Reddit was made 1 year ago. At this time, Poe didn't even hit 5,000 followers. His views were up and down between 200 and 2,000 per video. In short, he was unknown. His account hadn't even taken off. The account posted an almost exclusively kink and sex fantasy subs. Poe has shown to be overtly sexual and shoehorns explicitly and vulgar references into situations constantly. Multiple comments mention various locations in Michigan, some of them quite specific. Having checked out public records, it matches up with Poe's residence and where he's registered to vote. Logically, why would anybody make an account impersonating Poe early last January, then periodically over months use it to comment on subs, including Poe's interests and where he lives? It honestly seems pretty convoluted. What would their motive be? There isn't one I could think of. What could any of this realistically achieve? As I said a whole year ago, Poe didn't even have 5k followers. He was unknown, and why would anyone bother making an account to pretend to be him and repeatedly post on it for months, to the detail of knowing his exact location, email, contact, interests, and even fabricating a casting call? A lot of people can see through this bullshit. Unfortunately, his followers are mostly young and impressionable and believe every single thing that he says. They come to his defense and believe his every word, which proves further that he could be dangerous to his fan base, as they clearly trust and believe his every word regardless of how illogical it may be. It's frightening how quick they are to defend and idolize this man. Now, from what I've seen, Poe's Discord, we can see minors in the mix. 18 to 21-year-olds is the common age that we see, but this is something I haven't been seeing addressed, and something that can't be disproved or blamed on a past friend like Poe constantly has been doing with the Reddit. Poe may claim that he doesn't have to be held accountable for what goes on amongst the people on his Discord as long as they don't break the rules. Now, I'm not sure if the place even has them. Probably the only rule is not to call him a pedo, but as a moderator, your first responsibility is to make sure situations like these don't happen, especially since, as we can see, a lot of his content has sexual innuendos and sexual jokes. And honestly, something more disgusting is the fact that there are apparently even 12-year-olds in his Discord server, and there's even fucking disturbing recordings of him in Discord calls with underage children making rape jokes. And in fact, I'm not surprised he did, because he's had a history of dark humor. I should bring up the fact that he's made videos joking about intercourse with a fucking infant, like an infant doll. Or there's also this video of him beating his meat in a children's park. Or maybe this one.
Tell me more. Did she put up a fight?
What?
Whoa, what? Come on, Thunderbird, what I say?
Oh, is that something that happens to you, Kaneki? Like they put up a fight?
Again, I have to say dark humor can be funny, but when you're a pedophile making pedophile jokes, it's just not funny. It's just disgusting. Now, something I saw involving a TikTok user by the name of Turtle Pants, also known as Ray. Now, some might know them as the artist of this piece right here that Poe used as his profile picture on both TikTok and Instagram, and is still being used on the merch that is still up on his store. Now, after speaking to Ray, they told me that they tried PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, but Poe kept making excuses. Eventually, Poe was given permission to use the art for his profile picture and social media stuff, and after everything started to come out about him, Ray told him to take down the art. I mean, it's understandable, and apparently Ray didn't even know that he'd be making money off of it in his merch store, and was blocked after asking to take it down. Now, Poe has stated that Kitty, his current girlfriend, you may know her for calling people a fucking whore.
Russ, you did everything. You're a fucking whore. You can rot in hell.
They've apparently been making responses, clearing everything up, debunking everyone's bullshit.
There's one more thing that needs to be said. This baby bold girl, you showed screenshots of Poe's likes on her posts. First off, she got mad because she didn't get the recognition that she wanted. She wanted lots of clout for her doing our fan art. He recognized her on the Potato Fam account when we still had that. He made a whole video about that. She's saying he didn't pay her. He tried to pay her, but the PayPal transfer wouldn't work. She gave it to him for free because she was a big fan. Now that she's not getting all the clout that she wants, she's basically used him and is over him, so she's just hopping on this bandwagon to get more clout.
Now, after hearing both sides, you can definitely tell that there's some massive differences in what took place on what the both sides are saying. And honestly, I'm more inclined to believe Ray. Not because they're against Poe, and not because woohoo, I hate Poe and I'll just join the Poe hate train, but because I've spoken to many artists, digital artists, and most say that they would do the same thing. Now, the only main thing that you could take out of both Kitty's responses along with Poe is that everyone is doing this for clout. Apparently, everyone just wants followers for calling them out. Now, Ray has kept stating in one of their posts that they kept their account on public for people who want to see the screenshots, so that way they didn't have to follow them, and all they wanted was payment, especially since Poe was profiting off their art. I mean, I don't see any clout chasing there for wanting payment. payment for the art that you did that someone is profiting off of. Also, I should talk about another thing which involves Ray as well. Now, this is something that was covered by the aforementioned one guy's opinion. In fact, he did such a good job at it that I should honestly just use his clip right here.
So now that you've brought up your Instagram, let's go check it out. This is his Instagram, but Saturday at 9:51, that was his profile pic. Everyone's welcome to go find this Instagram account that is now an 18-year-old child as of April, but obviously before April, she was under 18. Specifically find pictures that a dad would be embarrassed of, and look who's liked them. This is who you'll find on her likes now, and these are the pictures I have from the 17th. On some of these kids' pictures when she was 17, he's the first one that liked them. How close were you tracking 17-year-old kids? Something you have to understand is these predators, these groomers, specifically target children who are about to be 17 or about to be 18 in a few months, and they just groom them for several months until they become of age. Ask an expert.
We're just talking about basic age of consent to be in a relationship, which is 16. It varies by state. I don't see anything wrong with that, especially since these partners that we've had were almost about to be 18.
Now, Poe constantly says he doesn't care about age. He messaged all of his fans. You can see through the account he follows and posts that he likes that he has a motive, and he's just lurking, man. He's just fucking lurking. That's all I could say. Now, finally, I'll be covering something that I covered in the last video, but it has to be said, especially since he's been threatening to take people to the police. He'll most likely do that to me. But anyways, imagine putting a contact tab on your Instagram with your fucking phone number for the world to see, and you literally make videos stating your location, your state, your city.
I am so tired of those Michigan check videos where people are like, hey, where you from? Let's hang out or something like that. But they don't have responded to comments or anything like that. So, hey, I live in Michigan. I want friends. I want people to hang out with. So, this is where I live. If you live somewhat near me, like an hour or so or something like that, hit me up. Comment down below. Let's hang out, dude.
Yeah, you claim people are doxing you. Everybody is just fucking doxing you, man. Everybody. In fact, it's honestly interesting how they switched up on what they've been pressing charges on everyone for, because before they were saying that they were doxing us, everybody's just doxing us, and now that's just not being brought up anymore. But anyways, as you may have noticed, this is a collab, so let me introduce you guys to the fucking whore himself, Avery.
Fucking whore.
Social media can be a really fun time. We meet all kinds of people, share common interests, maybe even make a couple new friends. TikTok's no different. I've been on the app for almost a year now, and I've met some really amazing people. Unfortunately, not everything will be perfect. TikTok is just like any other app. There's good and bad parts of it, and unfortunately we're going to be talking about some of the bad parts today. We're going to be talking about the comedian Poe and the absolutely disturbing things that he's been doing online. I initially found out about Poe through a Facebook group that I'm in. Originally he was just posted for overall cringe, but it got way deeper than that. Someone pointed out that he gave off big Onision vibes, so everyone just kinda did some digging on his page, including me. There's a lot to unpack here, so I'll try to keep it as organized as possible, but here is our story of the comedian Poe. The first thing that everyone noticed upon digging through Poe's TikTok account was that he recently announced a relationship with a 17-year-old named Xander.
He's the newest member of the Potato Fam. This is Cade, mine and Kat's new boyfriend. Ain't he a snack? And no, at this time he is not dating Law, but him and Kitty have been dating for the last few weeks, and the thing is I've always liked him, and me and him recently decided, hey, let's do it. The thing that sucks is that he's like literally a day away by car, so like we can't really see him right now. But we're hoping that he'll be moving here in the next month or so.
Xander was a fan of Poe before all this started, because whenever Poe followed Xander in the first place, Xander responded by making a video about it, saying, "Oh my god, my favorite creator followed me back," clearly fanboying over him. Well, Xander was introduced to the Potato Fam, which at the time was a poly relationship between Poe, Kitty, Lot, and Xander. Poe mentioned something about Xander moving in with them. We just got a little curious as to how old this guy was to be moving people in with him. Turns out he's 21 and he'll be 22 in June. And he's trying to get a 17-year-old to come live with him. so that they can date in a polyamorous relationship. What the fuck? Just what the fuck? I'm 22 and I look at someone who's even just 20 and I think that they're a baby. I could never even be friends with a 17-year-old. I find it hard to be around a 17-year-old. Why? The only reason someone would want to date a 17-year-old because they're vulnerable and easy to manipulate. That's the only reason. I don't understand how you look at a 17-year-old and you don't think, oh my god, that is a whole baby. That's a whole baby. I don't know. I don't get it. So, of course, people started to call Poe out on all of this, naturally. And his responses did give off Onision vibes.
Today is a very fucked up and stressful day. I'm not going to say who it is because I don't want to give them the clout or attention that they're looking for, but somebody is attacking us, and more of me personally. First, this person came at me for my relationship. Yeah, I'm dating Cade, who is 17 and I'm 21. Legally, this relationship's fine, but they're saying that morally it's wrong and that it's grooming, blah, blah, all this messed up stuff. You don't know what's going on in a relationship. You may find it creepy or weird. If you do, you can just block and move on. Who cares? But this person decided to make a bunch of videos degrading and, like, basically just causing drama about us.
First bringing up the age of consent laws in Michigan, where he lives. Accused all of us of clout chasing, not knowing the whole story. Saying if we didn't like it to just block and move on. We needed to leave him alone because Xander's parents were okay with him moving in. Yet Xander was posting videos on Instagram about how awful his parents are, specifically his mother. Later posted a video saying that he was kicked out by his mother and was now living with a friend.
Fun story time. I got kicked out of my mom's house. Now, I'm living with my best friend.
Is it me?
It's a her.
Is it me?
Yeah. My mom kicked me out, guys.
I hate his mom.
I hate my mom too, with our passions. We hate that bitch.
Yeah, Poe, they're probably supportive of you in your relationship because they don't know that it exists in the first place. Clearly, these people care so much. There are just so many weird and sketchy responses that we got from Poe about all of this. One of them being that he had been dating Cade for a while, but he just recently announced it because of personal reasons. But Cade had only been 17 for a few months at the time. So how long was he dating this 17-year-old for? Pretty sketchy and a clear admission of guilt, if I'm being honest. This was just the beginning, because the further down we went through the cesspool that is his TikTok page, the more stuff we found. Poe also had a habit of begging for money on TikTok, which, let me remind you, is full of children. If you don't know, you can receive donations on TikTok live streams. Poe would frequently take advantage of that, whether it be on live streams, sending money directly on other platforms like PayPal, or paying for their premium Snapchats or OnlyFans, which he advertises to children. Let me remind you, he has received over $500 from these kids online. What I don't understand is why a household with multiple incomes at the time would need to be begging for money from children online. How many times do I have to say children? Poe and Kitty both had jobs at the time. They were often seen posting videos of them inside of Walmart buying non-essentials like wine and stuffed animals.
Daddy! What?
Look what I found.
What'd you find?
I found a big purple unicorn.
A purple unicorn?
Mm-hmm.
So would you say that his name would be...
Squishy face.
No, I was gonna say porn. Get it? Because he's purple and he's a unicorn?
They also talked about their marijuana use. If you didn't know, those things cost money and not cheap. Poe claims that they needed this money for food and gas because Kitty was getting bad hours at her job. Who needs $500 for food and gas? No one. I don't know a single person that does. That's an entire rent payment for some people. Obviously, they were not using this money for what they said they were, or they were just really completely irresponsible. Either way, it's definitely not okay. Being financially unstable is actually a reason they gave for giving their baby up for adoption. Yes, you heard me right, a baby. Poe and Kitty had a child. Let's touch on that. Poe and Kitty had a child, but it was very short-lived as Poe made Kitty give the baby up for adoption shortly after they were born. I won't be saying the kid's name, so we'll just be calling him Lil Potato. Poe has made several inappropriate videos with this child, which are now all set to private after getting exposure, but these videos show Poe being irresponsible with him, flipping around a newborn child onto his stomach and then laughing, "What are you gonna do now?" I do not see how antagonizing a baby is funny.
Oh. What are you doing? Huh? You're on your tummy now. What are you gonna do about it, huh? What are you gonna do about it? You thinking about the war? What are you doing, huh?
According to law, Poe would refer to Little Potato as it and thing. Poe clearly did not see this baby as a human being, but a toy to dispose of when he didn't want it anymore. Poe and Kitty have made a YouTube video talking about this whole situation, saying they gave the baby away due to financial reasons, but as we talked about earlier, we know that that's bullshit. By no means do I think that these people should have this child. Absolutely no way. I'm just saying it's bullshit, the reasons they gave as to why they gave him away. As far as I'm concerned, I'm glad that the baby's away from them, and as far as I know, they're having a much better life now, and I'm happy for them. Congrats, Little Potato. Now you could tell that Kitty did love the child. They really did. After Poe made Kitty give Little Potato away, their Facebook posts were getting increasingly sad, and you could tell that they were really devastated about the whole thing. It was evident, and it was confirmed by law that Poe made Kitty give Little Potato away. It's truly sad, but it is worth mentioning.
Oh yeah, sorry to pop in like this, I just had to mention this. We can assume that at some point Poe gave Kat the choice of either him or the baby. As we could see in some of her Facebook posts at the time, there's posts that make it seem like they broke up, and Kat has chosen to keep the baby. Flash forward to after, where they are together and the baby has been put up for adoption.
Another thing we need to talk about is DDLG. If you don't know what DDLG is, just Google it. It's a kink. I find it very convenient that someone like Poe, who repeatedly targets young LGBT people, would be into a kink like this. He insists it's not sexual, but there's plenty of evidence to suggest otherwise. They've made several videos talking about sexual things while Kitty was in little space, talking like a baby, acting like a baby, etc. It's very evident that this is a kink for them.
Did you fall on your bike or something? What happened? How'd you break your finger?
You broke it.
How?
I wanted sexy time, and then you sat on it.
Before sexy time?
During sexy time.
Did that kill the mood?
No.
Who finished anyway? You dirty, dirty girl, you.
Wouldn't be so bad if he weren't a literal child groomer. His DDLG content is what brought the attention to him in the first place. But a couple weeks after the initial videos came out about him, more people started to notice, and it was getting more traction. He was getting more confrontations. So out of nowhere, he decides to accuse everyone coming after him of leaking Kitty's nudes onto Reddit. Not sure where his logic is there, because no one would have access to them. Mind you, this was before their premium Snapchat and OnlyFans, so no one had nudes of Kitty except for Kitty and probably Poe. Genuinely would not be surprised if he posted those onto Reddit so that he could accuse us of doing it and make us look like the bad people, get the attention off of him. It really would not surprise me. This guy is like TikTok Onision. He's Clap Daddy 2.0. I'm not even joking. After the whole nude leaking accusations, everything kind of died down for a couple weeks. Not really much of anything had happened until he announced a new relationship with, what do you know, another 17-year-old. I will keep their name anonymous by request, but this 17-year-old was introduced in Poe's polyamorous relationship out of nowhere. We quickly found screen caps of their birthday and several social media bios, which were changed or removed shortly after. We later find out from this person that Poe made them lie about their age. Xander had said something similar. Xander told us that Poe said if Xander wanted to move in with them, that that he had to lie about his age publicly. That if he wouldn't, he would not be able to live with them. Toying with a 17-year-old's emotions, manipulating them like that so that you could date them publicly without looking like a predator. Real nice, real nice. As Poe is getting deeper and deeper into the hole that he threw himself into, more victims started to come out. La left the relationship and spilled a bunch of tea to us. Xander left shortly after and did the same. Both of them were able to confirm and deny anything that we had gathered about Poe in the last few months doing this, and they were both extremely helpful and brave to come out with their stories and to help us the way that they did. So thank you guys both. The hashtag cancel Poe was started, and as it spread, more victims came out against Poe. Someone in the Facebook group, Tawny, a 23-year-old, realized that Poe was following her, and so she decided to go undercover as a 16-year-old. She followed him back, and he instantly DMs her, asking for her to add him on Snapchat. She did. It didn't take long before he was interrogating her about believing any of the bullshit that's happening, and telling her how cute and hot she is shortly after. Disgusting! The weeks went on, and Poe just introduces minor after minor after minor. There are still a handful of people that I could talk about here, but it'd be talking about the same thing over and over because he does the same thing all the time. He targets young LGBT youth, generally female to male or non-binary. He specifically targets these people. He has a type. And for him to be saying shit like, oh, well, I didn't choose for my fan base to be so young. My content has always been gross. It's not my fault young people like my content. I've always been a creep, not just because my fan base is young. Yes, he said things like that. To act like he's completely unaware of what's happening here is so fucking absurd. Anyone that comes after them, they just accuse them of doxing or harassment. It's absurd. They have the most Onision type of excuses. At the end of the day, I am just trying to get Poe deplatformed because he does not need to be using TikTok, an app where there is mainly children, to be begging for money, to be luring minors to come live with him, to come date him. He does not need a platform to be doing this. My account was banned at 180,000 followers because he sent all of his followers to mass report my videos, and yet he still has an account up so that he could literally groom children on this app. There's something wrong here. Something is very wrong. Anyways, that about wraps up everything that I've got. I just want to say thank you, Kyle, for letting me collab with you on this so that we could get the word out about this. I feel like this really needs to be talked about. As a survivor myself, I want to say to all the victims that you are definitely not alone, and I am a message away at any point in time. If you feel like you need to talk, please do not ever hesitate to reach out. Thank you to everyone who has sent me screenshots or any information that you have sent to me. It has helped a lot more than you know. And again, thank you, Kyle, for letting me come on here and talk about this. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
And thank you, Avery, for collabing with me. I really appreciate it since I'm a rather smaller channel and all. You can check out their TikTok and Insta, links are down below. Thanks to one of my close friends for hooking me up with the gameplay used in the video. I'll leave a link to where you can find his clips down below as well. Not sure if I'll be doing another follow-up to this. I have been made aware literally yesterday night that Coda has come out with a few things, and I'm pretty sure we'll be hearing from Poe, probably a response to this video, saying that I'm a cloud chaser leafy clone. But with all that being said, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to leave a like rating if you enjoyed, subscribe if you are not already, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, links are down below. Other than that, I hope you guys are doing good and peace. Wait, Avery, what are you doing here? What the fuck? I thought you finished with your part in the video.
Onion Boy has been cancelled. Potato is next. We're gonna make a pedophile stew.
I've been so MIA, can't feel much lately.